Number 10. A close cut. While cleaning the floor underneath an industrial machine, a worker in China accidentally got her hair stuck in the clogs. She didn't realize what was happening, and before she knew it, the poor woman had been completely scalped. She literally had her hair ripped off her scalp in the most painful and brutal way imaginable. She couldn't even get out of the machine herself and had to be removed by firefighters, who came in and cut her free. When they finally got her out of the giant piece of machinery, she had a huge chunk of her head exposed from where the hair and flesh had been pulled off. It looked like she had gotten into a fight with a can opener. Sadly, we don't know the name of this woman or what happened to her, but you only know that she survived. The video of her rescue went viral back in 2014, and we can only hope that with time, her skin and hair will grow back. Believe it or not, she wasn't the only one that got scalped in a machine accident. A woman named Giselle Espinoza, only 18 years old, got into a similar accident in 2016 while doing her internship at a car workshop in Mexico. She too got her hair stuck in a machine, except she didn't lose all of her locks. It only pulled out the back half of her hair, giving her a really weird reverse mullet. Number 9. Sausage factories. You wouldn't think it, but sausage factories are some of the most dangerous places to work in the world. The reason they're so dangerous is the blending machine that makes the sausages. It's full of giant spikes, it spins really quickly, and it can easily rip your arm off. In fact, there have been multiple incidents of people falling into the meat blender and nearly getting blended into sausages themselves. As recently as March of 2022, a man in Louisiana fell into a meat processing machine and died. It happened on the 17th, in the middle of the afternoon. The 22-year-old man, later identified as Todd Wheeler, was a reliable factory employee. But something went seriously wrong just before quitting time. Todd fell into a piece of equipment, which grinded him up and killed him. Workers saw what was happening and cut the power to the piece of machinery immediately, but there was nothing anyone could do. Todd was already dead. On the other side of the world, yet another man had a similar experience at a sausage factory in the United Kingdom. In January of 2019, Ian Kwa was left scarred for life after he accidentally put his hand into the cocktail sausage blender and had his middle finger ripped clean off. It was an accident, and a pretty silly one at that. He had been operating one of the most dangerous machines in the entire factory when he stuck his hand into it. The revolving metal paddle caught his hand, and his middle finger was plucked off. Number 8. Skewered by spikes. It was 2018 when a man in China was impaled by 10 giant metal spikes. It happened after a robotic arm fell on him while he was at work. If you're confused, let us explain. The victim is known as Zhu, and he worked at a porcelain factory in China's Hunan province. The accident happened on a Tuesday night as Mr. Zhu was working the graveyard shift. The robotic arm broke off from a piece of machinery and fell directly on top of him. The spikes were part of the robotic arm, and they pierced right into the worker's body. It was as if he had been stabbed by 10 giant spears at the exact same time in 10 different places. But here's the real miracle. Mr. Zhu didn't die. Each metal spike was about 1 foot long and around 1 inch in diameter, and he had 10 of them stuck into his arms, chest, and back. One of the spikes was only 0.04 inches from striking a major nervous system. The rest managed to miss every important organ. I should also mention that these spikes didn't only stick into them, they jabbed through him. They perforated through his shoulder, through his biceps, and one even went straight through his back just below his shoulder blade. It took a lot of work, but a team of over 10 doctors and nurses completed an emergency surgery that began in the morning and went on throughout most of the day. They managed to remove all the spikes without the patient suffering major blood loss, and he came out on the other side still alive. Number 7. Tragic decapitation. At a Tyson chicken plant in Alabama near the border of Georgia, a man by the name of Carlos Lin got into a major accident on March 3, 2020. The 39-year-old employee was caught while cleaning a piece of plant machinery. His head got stuck in a pinch point, the absolute worst part to get any piece of your body stuck. A pinch point is where 2 different pieces pass by a stationary part, meaning if you put your hand or something there and the pieces move, Your hand has nowhere to go. Well, this happened to Carlos's head, and he was decapitated. This is obviously very horrific, but it's not all that rare. The truth is that Tyson plants experience bizarre deaths all the time. The same month Carlos was killed, another worker at a beef plant in Kansas died when a harness yanked him into a moving conveyor belt. And in August the year before, a Tyson worker in Texas was crushed between two fully loaded pallets. In September of that same year, at the very same plant in Alabama where Carlos was beheaded, an unknown man walked into the factory and shot somebody in the neck. Number 6. Dead during the interview. Umida Nazarova was 7 weeks pregnant at the beginning of 2022 when she applied for a job at the Svarmed factory in Borisov, Ukraine. Umida was 21 years old. She was smart. She had a lot going for her, and she was looking forward to raising a child while having good-paying, stable employment. The factory job would have been perfect. Unfortunately, Umida never made it past the interview. As she was being shown around the factory floor, she got her long hair stuck in one of the industrial machines. Somehow her hair got wrapped around her neck and she was pulled all the way into the mechanism. According to the New York Post, she was then scalped by the machine so severely that she died of her injuries. She spent a brief several days in the hospital, but never regained consciousness. It was just too much pain for her young body to handle, having her entire scalp peeled upwards in a shower of blood, and she passed away. This incident was especially tragic because not just one life was lost, 2 lives were lost, both Umida and the human growing in her belly. The factory has since been investigated for negligence and causing the death of a person, while Umida's family will live the rest of their lives knowing the terrible way in which Umida was taken from them. Number 5. Folded 90 degrees. A man in China was bent at a 90-degree angle when he got sucked into an industrial machine. It was 2013 at a snack factory in northeastern China. It's not exactly clear what happened, but the man somehow got himself inside the machine so that his head was sticking out near the bottom, and his legs were sticking out over the top of his head. He was bent 90 degrees backwards, and he wasn't exactly a trained contortionist. He was in incredible agony and had to get an IV drip stuck in his arm as workers and firemen tried to figure out how they could get him out. The whole machine had to be disassembled, but the workers had to be extremely careful not to injure the man even more by accidentally disassembling the machine too quickly, causing pieces to fall on him. Throughout the whole ordeal, the only thing that kept this man from fainting from the immense pain was his IV drip. The painkillers kept him numb and docile. In the disturbing photographs of the rescue operation, you can see a woman kneeling down with the man's head in her arms, trying to offer some comfort. Thankfully, the workers and firefighters did eventually get the machine disassembled and gently pulled the man out. But he was still in rough condition. He had to be rushed to the hospital and straight into surgery. Number 4. Sucked into a machine. A factory worker in China had his head sucked into a paper machine. It was New Year's Eve, 2017. He was getting ready for an order to ship the next day and needed to work through the night. He was working alone in a dimly lit room on the 2nd floor of a building where the company was renting out space for their operations, where they produced paper gift bags. Everything went wrong very quickly. The paper appeared to get jammed inside of the machine. The man leaned his head in close to see if he could fix the issue, and then the issue fixed itself. The machine kicked back into action, and the man was dragged inside. He's been identified only as Mr. Xiao, and he died that night. The paramedics arrived much later, after he was discovered still stuck in the machine. They said he had severe trauma to the back of the head, which was essentially crushed by the machine when he was yanked into it. After the horrifying incident, the business was suspended. Number 3. An exploding machine. 35-year-old Shi Saron was killed in 2015 while working in a factory. The factory is in Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia, and its job was supplying clothing for the retail giant H&M. The employee was working with the machine used for grinding wood. It's part of the system which powers the furnace to create steam for the clothing to be washed before they're sold to the big stores. At about 6:20 in the evening, an explosion from inside the machine sent its cover flying through the air. The metal cover struck Shia in the side of the head, killing him instantly. We don't know what exactly went wrong with the machine. Heat and poor maintenance caused some kind of malfunction. Whatever the case, at least the company agreed to pay for Xi's funeral costs. They also agreed to pay his family a small salary each month until his children turn 18. We're sure his family would prefer to have him alive, but at least it's something. Number 2. Factory horror. Yet another woman got her hair stuck in a factory machine. This time it was in 2009, and the victim's name is Kelly Nild. She was 25, a mom of 1, and making around $7 an hour at her job. Kelly was working at a coat hanger factory when some coat hangers got tangled on the conveyor belt. She leaned over to untangle the hangers, and that was when her scarf got caught in the belt. The scarf tightened around her throat, and as she contorted to try and free herself, her ponytail got caught as well. Thinking quickly, Kelly screamed as loud as she could and started banging on the belt. She wanted to signal to her workers that she was in desperate need of assistance. Luckily, one person looked up and saw what was happening in the loud and chaotic factory. They ran to the machine, hit the emergency off button, and then used scissors to cut the scarf around Kelly's throat because it was strangling her. It was pretty horrific, and Kelly was missing a lot of her hair that had been ripped out in the machine. However, she did walk away with her life, and that was very lucky. The unlucky part was that this did a lot more damage than just pulling out some hair. It messed up her hand too because it also got trapped in the machine. She also sustained major injuries to her neck and throat and had to stay in the hospital for 3 months. She had to have a stomach peg fitted inside her body because she was unable to swallow. Number 1. Suffocated in a textile machine. In October of 2021, a 62-year-old factory worker was suffocated near Padua in Italy. Her name was Luisa Scapin, and she got herself stuck inside a textile machine when her overalls snagged in a cable mechanism and she couldn't get them free. She ended up being drawn into the machine where she couldn't breathe and flailed for dear life as if she were being held underwater. Nobody saw what was happening in time to save her, and the poor woman lost consciousness. But she was eventually unconnected from the machine by another worker who attempted CPR. But Luisa never regained consciousness. She spent 3 days as a vegetable in the hospital before passing on to the other side. It was horribly tragic, especially for Luisa's family. The company is now under investigation, and the owner could be charged with manslaughter for not having the proper safety regulations in place. Thanks for watching. Would you rather get impaled by spikes and live to tell the tale, or get scalped by an industrial machine but survive? Let us know what you think sounds less painful in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye!